There are those that are teaching that the rapture of the church and the second coming of Christ are the same event, that they're at the same time. But Scripture makes it very clear that that's just not the case. So if we put the pieces of the puzzle together, this is what we know about the rapture from 1 Thessalonians 4 and 5, 2 Thessalonians 2, and Matthew 24. No one knows the day or the hour, and Jesus will come like a thief in the night, when people are eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, so there's a sense of normalcy. In Israel anyway, because all Scripture revolves around them. They're God's prophetic timepiece. We see that Jesus comes down from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel and the trump of God. He has the spirits of all Christians who have passed away prior to the rapture, and brings them with him. The very first thing he does is resurrects their bodies, so they get their new bodies first. And then all Christians who are alive at the time of the rapture will be caught up in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air. I forgot to add John 14 to the mix. That's where we learn when Jesus returns for us, he comes to take us home, to the rooms that he's been preparing for us for 2,000 years. So again, in short, at the rapture, Jesus comes as a thief of the night. No man knows the day or the hour. There's some sense of normalcy in Israel. He only comes down to the clouds. He brings the spirits of Christians that have already died with him. They get their new bodies first, and then all Christians who are living are caught up to meet them in the air. That's when we get our immortal, imperishable, and incorruptible bodies. I can't wait. Although it's not a secret event because it's in Scripture, it's a hidden event. Then there's the second coming of Christ. From Revelation 1:9 and chapter 19, Zechariah 14, and Matthew 24, we know at the second coming of Christ that every eye will see him, and he'll come down out of heaven riding on a white horse with the armies of heaven following him to fight the battle of Armageddon. His feet touch down on the Mount of Olives, the mountain splits in two, and Jesus wins the battle. He then sets up his rule and reign over the nations from Jerusalem for 1,000 years. That's in Zechariah 14 and Revelation 20, among other places. And at the time of the second coming, it's at the end of the 7-year tribulation. And if you've read the book of Revelation, then you'll know at that time people are not going to be eating and drinking and marrying and giving in marriage. There won't be anything normal about it. It won't be like a thief in the night. And we can actually know the day. It's 2,520 days after the Antichrist signs the Daniel 9:27 covenant between Israel and many nations. So as you can see, these events are very different. These two prophecies don't line up at all. The conditions here on earth are not the same, the way they happen are not the same, and what happens is not the same. That's because they're not the same. Just thought you should know.